Good afternoon, everyone. If you're in the Pacific time zone, it is still morning, but welcome to our third Tuesday CSWEEK Marketplace webinar series. And I am Rod Litke. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of CSWEEK, and we have launched this webinar series on the third Tuesday based upon our other webinar series, which is second Tuesday webinars. And so we will proceed through the year leading up to CSWEEK next year with these third Tuesday webinars. These webinars are an opportunity by which we can tap into various industry experts and bring their expertise forward to you regarding what's going on in our utility industry. So you've seen some slides rolling by you, so a couple of reminders. CSWEEK is April 29 through May 3rd of 2013. Next year we will be in Tampa at the Tampa Convention Center. Another reminder is our call for presentations database is open, and in fact we are going to, if you saw that deadline today, we are going to extend that. I believe it will be extended to Monday the 27th. So if you haven't got your papers in, build them right away and send them in. Another slide you saw is our Expanding Excellence Awards. These are highly sought after, and it's never too early to start thinking about your projects, what you've done at your company, and how you might develop and submit an application for those awards. So as I mentioned to you, this series will be ongoing on this third Tuesday of the month at this time zone always, or at this time always. So a couple of quick reminders. All of you are on mute, but you can type questions into that Q&A panel box in the bottom right corner of your screen. At any time, you can type those questions in. They will be held to the end, and I will ask the questions for you to this panel. And then assuming we have enough time, they will answer all of those questions. And previously, we've had things where we run out of time, and they will respond to you individually if we run out of time. Another note is that this is being recorded and will be available on our website for replay. So if you wish to have some of your colleagues listen to this at a future date, it will be available for replay on our website. So I'm going to get going with this. I won't introduce the panelists. I'll leave that up to Lisa. Today we have SAP, Lisa Dalesandro, DiChristofer, and her group, SAP, are presenting Providing for the New Customer Engagement. And on that note, Lisa, please take over.
Thank you, Rod. Thank you, everyone. Good afternoon. As Rod so eloquently presented, my name is Lisa Dalesandro DiChristofer. I'm the Senior Industry Principal for our Utility and Energy practice here, and we'll be kicking things off. Today's session contains information regarding our roadmap and some of our future strategic direction. As such, I just need to represent our disclaimer here that things could be subject to change. We are looking forward to the opportunity to sharing with you today on this important topic of providing for the new customer engagement. And to accomplish this, we've put together a panel of SAP colleagues that I'd like to introduce to you now. In addition to myself, I've invited Rob Ray. Rob is one of our senior utility solution engineers, and he's put together a demo vignette of some of the concept apps that we've been working on, as well as showing some of our advanced analytics. I've then invited Anu Agarwal to join. Anu is a director in our mobility application team and has a very important project now as she's responsible for developing our first customer-facing mobile application. And then last, to round out the team, I've invited Steen Hansen. Steen is a member of our global utility practice and has been working very closely with our customers in the area of customer analytics, smart meter analytics, and will be introducing a new product called Customer Energy Management. And at the conclusion of that, we'll open up for Q&A, Rod, and I'll turn things back over to you. Just a little bit about SAP for those of you who may not know who we are. We are the world's leading provider of business software and technology. We're a global company and do business in about 120 countries today. 2012 marked our 40th year of doing business, and we're very excited about the things that we've achieved, but even more excited about where we're going over the next 40 years as we've expanded our portfolio to cover what we're calling the 5 pillars, things like enterprise applications, business analytics and insight, enterprise mobility, cloud computing, and database and technology. At SAP, we go to market by industry, and we were very pleased to be awarded by Gartner in 2012 the #1 position for industry best practice. And I bring that up because many of the industries that we serve are very focused on customer engagement as well. They are customer-facing in things like CPG and retail and high-tech. And so we have a unique opportunity to compare and contrast what's happening in other industries with the utilities as we bring new products to market. So let's focus on this topic of customer engagement. The utility industry is in transition as traditional customer engagement models are no longer meeting the needs of today's evolving utility customers. The role of the utility and the expectation of the customers are changing. For years, a primary communication vehicle was the monthly bill, but with the occasional call to the call center. But megatrends, such as mobility, social media, and advanced analytics are really reshaping the customer's expectations and redefining how the utility needs to work with the utility customers. Our customers today are really benchmarking their experiences that they're having with companies like Amazon and Expedia, and they want the same experience from the utilities. We're seeing our utility customers move from what we call traditional best practices, perhaps in the call center, to best customer engagement models as we embrace these new technologies. It is these new experiences and the introduction of these new innovations that are really expanding the need for a new, what I would call, comprehensive customer engagement platform. If we look across this slide, we can see some of the new innovations that are being introduced. Mobility and the provision of customer-facing mobile applications for things like outage notification and online bill payment. The introduction of social media across all of our channels for things like customer sentiment, looking for enhanced customer self-services, or what we're calling now the mobile web. I want to access that information, but on the device of my choice. Things like texting, SMS, where does that fit into this engagement model? And then also looking at cloud as a new channel for providing things like consumption data or green button initiative. It's this, in addition to all the traditional things like call center and IVR, and the paper bill, as they do not go away, that are really impacting the need for a customer platform. This requires the utility to manage all of these multiple channels in a real-time environment and making sure that the customer experience, regardless of which channel, is the same. We also need to keep in mind things like customer preference across these multiple channels. For example, a customer may want to have a text message during the time of an outage. They may want to have an email notifying them of a past due or tardy bill, but then they also might want to have a call when they're scheduling service or having someone come on their site. In today's sessions, we're going to focus on 3 of these new innovations, and the first one of those is being mobility. Mobility has become a part of our daily lives as the consumerization of IT, the explosion of the data on device, and our obsession to be connected anytime, anywhere, and on any device continues to grow. It's changing the way we work, how we interact with our customers, and how we do business with our partners, opening up entirely new ways to do business. Here we can just see some of the channels and some of the positions that are being impacted greatly by the mobility applications. At SAP, we've been working very closely with our utility customers. We have the privilege of having a very active user group and have formed a customer co-innovation council for mobility. What you see here on this slide is one of our earlier surveys that we produced, helping us better understand where the priority was for providing customer applications. And as we go through the presentation today, you can see the influence of our customers on our development roadmap. But it probably comes as no surprise to the audience that the top 2 mobile application areas were all around customer outage notification and customer online bill and payment. Social media is another huge mega trend facing our industry and another game changer for customer engagement. It's changed the way customers are influenced. For example, if you're looking for a new restaurant or you're in the market for buying a new cell phone, you're probably more likely to take the recommendation from your friend on Facebook or someone in your immediate social network. One of the things you might want to be thinking about is social media is really more than just a personal communication. That's why it's so relevant to an industry like ours. You know, when you think about it, if you're a company that has a strong customer or consumer focus, then social media needs to be on your roadmap. In 2011, Gartner listed social communications and analytics as the top 10 strategic technologies for all companies to include in their portfolio, including utilities. But you know, we also want to monitor what's being said because is it always positive? Gartner also predicted that by 2016, social technologies, and here they're expanding to be social media, social cloud, will be integrated into many of our business applications. And we can already start to see, you know, the influence that social media is having on things like outage notification at the time of a storm. The final trend I want to highlight in the opening is really the increase on customer intimacy and customer analytics. Today's advanced analytics really now allow us to mine this big data, things, you know, sources of data coming from things like smart meters, social media websites, historical data sets, weather or outage, providing a new customer-facing analytic capability. We can help customers better understand their energy consumption, avoid things like bill shock, and have a more proactive relationship with our customers. For example, if we take a look at social media monitoring, you know, just by leveraging social media analytics, we can gain actionable insight from these large unstructured data sets and categorize and prioritize these, you know, via conversations and routing them to the appropriate person in the utility for action. By leveraging some of these social media data and by combining it with the information we already have in our enterprise, we can now provide a new, more meaningful context and infuse everything we do with our customer with a more modern approach. So rather than continue talking about, you know, how we can use some of these new innovations, I'd like to introduce Rob Ray here, who has prepared a small vignette and will demonstrate some of these new innovations in action. Rob?
Perfect. Thank you, Lisa. So Lisa's absolutely right. Is if you look at industry analysts from across the board, and you look at white papers coming out, especially within the utilities industry, everyone is saying that we need to focus and we need to concentrate on where utilities are going in terms of social media. But what does that mean, and what value can social media bring to the utilities is really the question that people are starting to ask themselves. And what we've seen in the past is really during outages and in crisis scenarios is where you see spikes in followers on things such as Twitter and comments on Facebook. But the other side of that is being able to protect your brand. We're seeing customers start to think about pushing out energy conservation information to their Twitter followers, promoting their various programs and initiatives, and helping them become more efficient customers. Now, the other side of that is being able to capture customer sentiment. So when we start to think about social media, your followers and your customers are on these websites and they're posting feedback and comments relating to your business and to your utility. So being able to one, identify what your customers are saying about you across the social media platforms, whether it be Twitter, Facebook, being able to capture that information, but also being able to quickly and effectively understand what those customers are saying. So one of the things that SAP has heavily invested in is integrating that within the call center environment so that you can actually pull that information in, parse those messages that are actually being commented and posted on these social media sites so that you, as the utility and as the company, can understand what your customers are saying. Are they angry? Are they happy with your various programs or your energy conservation initiatives? Are they without power? So being able to pull that information in quickly makes sense that allows you to then drive the social media analytics piece of this. So being able to, at a high level, real quickly understand what is the general sentiment of your customer base on social media sites. And what this allows you to do is, one, understand any trends going on within the industry, but also protect your brand. So if you look outside of the industry, for example, Comcast has a SWAT team that basically is 12 people who monitor what their customers are posting about them on Twitter and on Facebook. And through this ability to, or through what they're actually capturing, whenever they find a customer who's irate or angry with their services, they actually pull them into a private conversation and engage them so that it actually doesn't spill over and create negative effects downstream. So they're really mitigating that risk in that customer's sentiment to one, respond to that customer, but also make sure that the exposure is minimized. Now the other side of the trends within the utility is, as Lisa mentioned, in mobility. So switch over here. So one of the things we're hearing from our customers is we know that mobility is becoming huge within our industry, but how do we leverage it? So we've worked internally at SAP with a lot of our customers and what we call our mobility council, which is a group of our customers who are basically meeting on a monthly, bi-monthly schedule to sit down and discuss all things mobility. Where do they see value in the industry? Where do they see value within their organization? And how do they actually promote mobility and extend this value to their customers? So working with those group of customers, one of the things that SAP is looking for is basically a new customer engagement model or a new customer engagement app that allows them to do things such as manage their accounts, make payments, issue service orders, or report outages in the field. So what you're seeing here is the result of those discussions and of that process of gathering requirements and listening to our customers of where they can really extend this value to their customer. So this is what we call our customer engagement concept application, which really allows all of those self-service functions that would typically require either a login to a website or a call into the call center can now actually be performed on a mobile device. So what you're seeing on this initial screen is the ability to actually update your account information. So is this customer a direct debit customer? Do they need to update their phone or contact information? If I scroll down here, and look at my service requests, what this allows you, report service requests, what this allows you to do is not only report an outage, for example, at your home, but let's say the customer is walking down the street and sees a down wire or a down telephone pole. How do they actually transmit that information back to their utility? So leveraging the capabilities of the device to, for example, take a photo of that down pole or that down wire, or capture the GPS coordinates of where that customer is, so that the utility can actually know exactly where that issue occurred, where that down wire is, so that when they roll the truck, they don't have their crews rolling up and down Main Street looking for that particular issue. So leveraging the capabilities of the device enables utilities to actually quickly and efficiently identify the problem, but also respond and react to that. So once you've actually submitted your information, so in this case we're looking at a pole that's been hit, we've captured our GPS coordinates, I can go ahead and submit that information so that it's sent back to the utility, so that on their side they can now start to process that service request. Now the beauty of mobile applications is that it enables you to push information out to the customer without them actually reaching or calling into your call center, so that you are proactively engaging them without actually having them call in or having a CSR reach out to that particular customer. So in this case, being able to not only issue a service order, but see the status of a service order. Are crews in your area performing work? What is their estimated time of restoration? So being able to push that information out on a mobile device so that the end user can real quickly digest and consume that information. Now, obviously, if I continue down where our customers are really saying that they see value, being able to perform this simple function of, one, viewing your utility bill, so you can see your chart and you can see your monthly consumption, but also being able to make payment against that bill through credit card or, for example, through bank transfer. Now, obviously, providing that customer with, one, proof of payment, but also a confirmation so that they know that that bill has been paid and the utility's been updated with the correct information. So if you notice now, you can see the status is switched from unpaid to actually paid. And finally, if I continue to scroll down, outages. So as we mentioned, this is really where we're seeing a lot of traction in the realm of not only social media and responding and communicating with customers regarding outages, but also in mobility. So being able to, again, push information out to your customers relating to specific outages. So in this case, we're looking at a specific customer's service territory and leveraging, again, the device functions, being able to understand where that customer is, push information out to them relating to any outages in their area. So how many customers are affected? What is the cause of that outage? What's the status? In this case, we're looking at an engineer on site. What is the start time of the outage, and what is the estimated time of restoration? So again, staying in communication with your customer throughout the entire outage and providing them with information proactively enables you to engage that customer in a more efficient manner. In a crisis scenario, how do you push information out relating to shelters? So where are you providing emergency services? What are the hours of that specific location? What services are being provided? So when you start to think about the use cases of how mobility can be leveraged, not only for your basic account management and bill presentment and payment functions, but also in terms of outages and crisis scenarios, it's really going to become a valuable tool. And we'll be able to leverage that and, again, change that customer engagement model. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to the next presenter, Anu. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing and take it away.
Great. I'd like to introduce Anu. She is the director for our mobility development team and is responsible for delivering on the concept apps that we have so carefully identified with our customers. So Anu?
Thank you, Lisa. So we saw some of the prioritization that our council has given to our requirements, and Rob showed the concept demo. So I'd like to just talk about what we've done with that prioritization and how we've taken it to kind of create overarching requirements for a B2C application for our utility customers to roll out to their consumers. So some of those requirements are listed here. The first is they want improved customer engagement. There has been a natural shift to mobile, a very quick one, as a preferred means of communication because it can be done anytime, anywhere, because the UIs are very appealing, the apps are fun to use, and it's very convenient for a customer to use a mobile device to communicate with their utility provider. The utility providers also want to be able to personalize the communication, especially when it comes to outage, what you saw demonstrated, whether it be a planned or an unplanned outage. And that type of information isn't something they want the consumers to have to find out on their own. It should just come to them in a push type of mechanism. The new generation of users expect this for pretty much everything. They don't want to have to search for anything. They shouldn't need to see advertisements to find out about offers. The offer should simply come to them based on their interests and their preferences that they have already set up. We also know that there's a trend towards enhanced multi-channel customer care. So yes, we think that mobile will eventually be the preferred means of communication, but that's not going to happen right away. Many customers, especially in industries like utilities, where there are millions of customers, will still want to use the web or call the call center for certain features. So all the channels need to be in sync and work together. And we built our application roadmap based on this concept, that it needs to be on a platform that gives the consumer their choice of channels. And regardless of the channel, the experience that they get is a unified customer experience. And they have acceptable response times regardless of the channel. So I'll talk a little bit more about how our platform meets those requirements. Finally, anywhere transactions are crucial. While we think some of the functions on the mobile device, the high-value functions, customers will take their time using, such as analyzing usage, seeing how upgrading to a new appliance or changing the time that they run their appliances will impact their consumption and bill. They'll spend some time to look at that. But other tasks will be quick, like viewing and paying the bill. Regardless, though, consumers will want to carry out these transactions no matter where they are, at home, on the train, at a cafe, anywhere. So we think SAP has a unique opportunity with this app because we have both a platform to run it and we have the back-end processes for billing and payment. So we get our requirements a lot from our customers, but we also look at the trends in the market and what the consumers of the future will look like. So these are some of the things that the consumers are going to expect. Of course, the first is the move to paperless billing. Utility consumers will be used to getting all communication in some kind of digital form. Paper bills and correspondence are definitely becoming outdated and are limiting because things like usage can only be displayed for a single period or a set amount of time, whereas on the mobile device, you can show usage over different periods, compare usage, and drill down into that information. So this kind of goes into the next trend, which is energy awareness. The new consumers will want to be more aware of their energy. We can see that already from all of the increase in sales of light bulbs, energy-efficient appliances, and just a general awareness when it comes to energy. Consumers will want that information about the impact that their usage is having on the environment, and they'll want to be able to analyze that on the mobile device. We're also moving to an always connected world with the expansion of 3G, 4G networks, the proliferation of wireless anywhere. We need a platform that will support a high volume of messages going back and forth between the mobile user and the utility provider. And of course, we can't ignore SMS and companies can't ignore it in their strategy. Some of the latest statistics here in the U.S. show young adults sending and receiving an average of over 100 SMS messages a day. And in developing countries, the use of SMS is even broader than messaging and communication, but for payment, couponing, and offer redemptions. SMS is an integrated part of our mobility platform, and it needs to be a part of that to be able to address that channel. And then, of course, the consumers will be budget conscious. They've seen rising energy costs, and they'll want to know how they can contain these costs by getting a good understanding of their consumption. And finally, the platform needs to support the fact that devices are going to be changing, and we'll constantly be getting new kinds of devices, new form factors, and the mobile application needs to adapt to that. It can't be that we are creating a new application every time a new device or platform comes out. And we also are aware that consumer mobility has to align with our overall mobility strategy, and it does here at SAP. Of course, we have one of the main requirements for consumer mobility, as was demonstrated in the concept app, would be to capture issues or problems. But then after that issue is problem, the problem is captured, what will happen to it in the back end? So it first would need to be analyzed and dispatched, and of course the mobile field folks need to get out there to actually fix the issue, and that communication needs to come back to the consumer on their mobile device, what the status is of the issue and has it been fixed or not. So all of this is part of our integrated strategy at SAP. So when we talk about the platform, talk about mobile being part of an integrated platform for multi-channel. So in this development that I'm going to show you a preview of, we are building a rich client application. But that application is being built on our Sybase Mobiliser platform, which allows for customers to build out SMS applications. It has built-in consumer self-care portal where the user could use the web to go in and look at transactions and update their information. And it comes with the customer support portal where agents can go into the portal to see what transactions each of the users have conducted, where they are in the system as far as posting the transactions, and see the volume that they're getting from their mobile users, when are the users using the mobile device, and what are they using it for. So it comes with a whole set of tools to support the customer support process as well. So this is a preview of the application that is currently in development. We're looking at version 1 right now, and we're building on top of the Sybase Mobiliser platform, connecting to the SAP ERP IS Utilities backend. So this is a backend that controls the most important functionality that our customers have prioritized that they need in the mobile device. In the future, we'll be looking at connecting to SAP CRM as well to expand on more of the customer touch points, such as loyalty, offer management, and that type of thing. And also for this version, we're looking at just supporting the iPhone and Android phone factors, and in the future, we'll be looking at tablets and other platforms. So the platform that we're building on is Sybase Mobiliser, and it gives us many distinct advantages. It's a build once deploy model, so there is a fully integrated SDK to develop and deploy the rich client applications without having to write native code specific to certain devices. And how does it do it? It uses non-proprietary technology such as HTML and CSS to drive the UI. It still is a rich user experience, but it's an adaptable without any code change at the native level. And finally, the Mobiliser provides some reference applications. So this application team is definitely benefiting from applications that have been out there for a while in the marketplace using this platform. And we've been able to leverage both the platform and some pre-built flows that have been built. And finally, Mobiliser provides some services. And so services are the way the end application can consume the data from the ERP backend, such as the billing and the payment data. So we've been able to look at those services and create services specific to utilities. This is our product roadmap. The 4 main functional areas we plan to cover are account management, bill payment, outage management, and service request management. And we're seeing these over and over, and we are looking at the requirements across these 4 areas and talking to our customers, getting validation that for a first phase of an application, these are the most fundamental requirements that are out there. So being able to manage profile, payment methods, viewing service details and usage, and being able to pay bills and view the billing history, which payments have been posted and which are pending. And then, of course, outage, sending notifications for outages, viewing outages on a map, and being able to report an outage from a mobile device. And also creating service requests, whether these be problems with the bill or problems that they're noticing in their service, down power lines, whatever it may be. We're building a flexible infrastructure to capture issues that customers may be experiencing. These are some sample screen flows just to give an idea of the UI paradigm that we're following. We want everything, all of these functions, to be very consumer friendly. So 2 or 3 taps away and the consumer should be able to get to the information they need, whether it's updating the profile information, whether it's paying a bill, and it should be done. It should be very simple, very native look and feel for the device types that we are supporting.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you, Anu. I appreciate that. I'd like to introduce our last speaker today. This is Steen Hansen, and Steen is a member of our Global Utility Practice and is joining us today from Denmark. Steen will be talking about smart meter analytics and our customer energy management. Steen? Steen, can you advance the slides? Perfect. I think Steen is still on mute. Lisa, I don't hear him. Dean, are you there?
Can you hear me, Lisa?
Yes, I think you were on mute. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So, sorry, I'll start again. Steen Hansen, I'm in our development practice, and I'm responsible for some of the new applications we're developing on the analytics platform. Two of those I'm involved in right now is smart meter analytics and custom energy management. And the smart meter analytics was recently released, and right now we're working on custom energy management, which is planned to be released later this year. I will start by talking a little bit about the physical environment. That is the basis for a lot of the functionality we are looking at. And I guess it's no surprise, we've seen these before. And we have the consumer having smart meters or intelligent meters for gas, water, electric. We have intelligent devices in the home, and we have potentially solar energy or some other kind of cogeneration, and they may or may not have a electric car as well. What we see here is that today we are talking about collecting data primarily from intelligent meters. In pilots, of course, we're doing a lot of this, but in a real rollout is mainly the smart meters at this time. But it's also clear that with all of these appliances and all of these new things, that the data volume and the complexity of the data is going to go up. And one of the things we are doing from a design point of view is that we believe that from a future perspective, the communication to the house, to the consumer, is going to be more via the internet, where we're talking about megabytes connections, as compared to the smart meter connections today, where we're down in kilobyte. When we're talking about growing the data, I think one of the things we're looking at as well is being realistic of where we are. So today, we see that we have some substantial rollout of intelligent devices. We are starting to see more and more smart appliances. So when we have the smart appliances in place, we are also able to capture the data from those and start analyzing those. And in the end, we certainly will have a two-way communication where we can also communicate back to appliances, that be air conditioning, washing machine, etc. And with all of this in place, of course, we get into a world where we can do a lot of things. But the key thing here is, from a real deployment point of view, is really the smart meters, which is where we have the big data volume today. From a use case perspective for all of this data, what we have seen is that there are different approaches to how to solve these use cases. A lot of times there's been thinking that we will develop a solution that are utilizing this kind of data. We can collect this massive amount of data for the utility companies' use. Others are going out saying we want to deliver an application that is focusing on the end customer's use of it. In the end of the day, I think that the importance is that we have to look at how this belongs together, and we have to see that we cannot develop the one side without the other side. If we focus only on the utilities company use of all of this data, we're getting into these discussions where the end customers are starting questioning, why does the utility capture all of these details and are not giving me anything back? Vice versa, if we're only developing functionality, delivering functionality for the end customer, we as a utility are not really getting the benefit from all of this. So from a solution point of view, it's important that we focus on initially where we have a common interest, and then we have to focus on the area where we each have an interest. But the key thing here is that we have to keep a balance in mind, so we both are serving the end customer and engaging the end customer in a way so they feel it's a win-win situation to actually supply and allow the utility to capture this data, as well as the utilities then can use it. We see in different countries today that the question, should the utility capture the data coming up? We have UK, we have Holland, where we're already seeing that they are putting limitations on what the utility is allowed to capture, and that is exactly for these reasons. So we believe that from day one, it's very important to create a balance when we are supplying these type of functions, that we're creating a balance that the customer will get some of this, and really focusing on the engagement of the customer as well. Of course, the utility should have something. If we're looking about the use cases themselves, there's a lot. Some of them here, we talk about things like high bill alert, where we will communicate to the customer that if he or she continues to use what he does now, then there's a risk for a high bill. We're talking about vacation service, an example where we're having a scenario where the end customer is able to register the fact that they will be going on vacation. So if we see any usage beyond a base load, they would like to be informed about this. We have customer segmentation with all of these details for smart meter data and appliance data. We can start segmenting the customers, and the utility will be able to use the segmentation for marketing campaigns, for example, or to target certain behaviors. We can provide comparison between peer groups, so the end customer can look at how he or she does against peers, or the utility can create these peer groups and start providing data to their marketing department on that. We have load analysis. Again, this is more on a little bit on the grid side, but again, it's again a use case where we're using this detailed data to look at it. The key point here is that all of these use cases, no matter if they are targeting at the end customer or at the utility, they're kind of pointing to the same point. It's the same type of data we have. It's the same kind of data model we have, and we need a lot of sophisticated algorithms, and we need a lot of data power to run with it. So one of the things we're seeing here is that we don't want to go one way or the other, saying it's either end customer or utility, but we need to go both. So in order to do that, we have looked at what solutions to provide. And while the use cases kind of drives a similarity to data and data model and things like that, algorithms and math, one of the things, of course, is that there's different user groups. And because of the different user groups, we decided to develop two different applications which are using the same foundation as we're seeing here, but with the two different target groups. So the first one is Smart Meter Analytics. And here the user group we are targeting is the utilities employees. So these will be like the data analysts that are interested in looking at a lot of the data, being able to run statistical tools, and they are much more close to really getting down to maybe actually the raw data we're getting in. We also may have the marketing type of people, which will have more prepared data, but still a lot of details about the individual customer. And on the other end, we can also have a call center who needs quick access to the data, and it should be prepared and ready to use. All of this, again, is what we are targeting with the Smart Meter Analytics, where we are providing this type of functionality. And in this, we're talking about aggregation of the data. We're talking about pattern recognition. So pattern recognition is about when we have the detailed data, the 15-minute or the 30-minute data, we can start across millions of meters, start building some samples of profiles that are the common ones, and then we can start using those profiles to actually start understanding our customers. The Smart Meter Analytics can be used for leakage analysis, forecasting, tariff development, as we said with the pattern recognition. If we understand the patterns our customers are using energy or gas or water for, maybe we are able to actually develop some better tariffs. On the other side, we have the end customer, and to serve the end customer, we have or are right now developing what we call customer energy management. And the end customers, again, of course, are different. So we have, on one hand, the more very professional industrial customers, which are looking for a lot of details, and they are looking into functionality like comparing things, comparing sites, how one site doing compared to another site. We have one of the new type of customers, the prosumer, who's also generating energy. They're ones that are starting to get interested in both the inbound and the outbound of consumption, because they are thinking more and more like a business as they are selling and buying in energy. And then we have the consumer, who needs easy access to the data, and he needs to prepare it in a way where it's easy understandable and easy to access. What we're delivering with customer energy management is on the one side, the analytics side, where we're talking about doing things like peer groups and benchmarking. We have the energy services, and this is where we have the bill shock, vacation services, and those type of goal settings, for example, so we can have for the industrial customers. We have the CO2 goal setting, so I know what target I have to do, and I can always compare all my sites on my individual site to where I am. In the end, and this is what both Rob and Anu talked about, for the consumer, we don't believe that the future is to believe that the customer will go to a portal and sit every once a week, every Friday, to look at the consumption pattern and stuff like that. They will do that once or twice, but that gets uninteresting quite quickly. What we do believe in that there needs to be a portal you go look at, but the trigger to go and look at is probably going to be some kind of a message. So have high bill alert that you may have a high bill if you keep using the amount of consumption you're doing so far, might trigger you to go and look at the portal. But this is why these things have to go hand in hand, and this is why we are focusing heavily on that the customer energy management is playing between communicating with the customer via smartphones, and then maybe having some of the more detailed view on the portal side. The other thing we are doing as well is from a in-home display type of view. A lot of talk about that. We believe that the information needed on the in-home displays are going to be quite substantial. So either the in-home displays are going to grow to look like a TV, or what we believe in more likely that we should actually support showing some of this information on the TV. And so this is where the customer energy management is trying to take the same set, the same foundation, the same type of technology, but here we're targeting directly at the customer. So between those two things, we believe that this is going to be our platform that is the platform for all our consumption-driven processes. Right now, we have smart analytics and customer energy management, but this is the two first applications on this platform, and we are both going to extend the platform, of course, to include more functionality for smart analytics and customer energy management, as well as extending the platform to support other scenarios and type of applications that are using the same foundation. So that was all I had, Lisa, and I'm giving you the overview again.
Great, thank you so much. Before we move into the Q&A, I just wanted to do a quick summary. We started our session today talking about some of the mega trends that are impacting the customer engagement experience, things like mobility, things like social media, things like customer analytics. Rob shared with us a small vignette on some of the things we're doing around social media analytics and how we can capture those customer sentiments. He also presented a concept app that we built with our customers as a result of use case analysis that we conducted in our Co-Innovation Council. Anu did an excellent presentation of how we're taking that information from the council and monetizing it internally, leveraging our mobility platform, and creating a new customer experience with creation of customer applications, the importance of that, the prioritization of that, the expectation from the market. And Steen, I thought you did an outstanding job bringing it all together with the customer data coming from the field, coming from the devices, coming from other data sources, and how we can take those two key areas, both internally for the utility to provide new solutions and applications, but also externally for the consumer to consume that data in a way that's meaningful. With that, Rod, I'd like to turn it back over to you for the Q&A session.
Great, Lisa. So attendees, now is your opportunity to ask questions. As I mentioned at the start of this webinar, that is available to you through that box in the bottom right corner. You can post your questions there, and then I will pose them to Lisa and her panelists. So on that note, Lisa, let's get started. I think we have a question that queued up regarding the last 10 minutes, but this person asked, can you throw some light on e-services? Is CEM you were talking about through e-services?
So, Steen, I'm going to direct that to you, given your role in our customer online services strategy and where we're taking CEM.
Okay, so let me start here, and Anu, please jump in as well. CEM is a platform where we're going to provide a lot of functionality, a lot of analytics, etc. When we talk about the e-services, we will, from a CEM perspective, provide capabilities and APIs that can be consumed by a mUtilities application. So it all comes together that we are supplying these things. We are not here with CEM, and I think this is a key thing to say. We are not with CEM creating another portal. We are with CEM building blocks that can be embedded in a portal, and the mUtilities is a perfect example of that.
Anu, I don't know if you want to add any commentary to that.
Yeah, so as we're looking at enhancing our use cases beyond version 1, CEM is going to be one of the areas that we do focus on, and Mobiliser gives us the infrastructure to connect to any back end that we want and consume that data and expose it in one mobile application. So using that platform, we will be able to leverage some of these services as Steen described and expose some of that information in the mobile application.
Great. So Lisa, this question is really kind of perhaps a state of the union question and perhaps a state of the planet, but how do you see utilities leveraging social media in today's environment? So right now, today, late August.
Great. So I think one of the best examples we have around how customers are monetizing social media is really been this last year, given the storm season, in both from a monitoring perspective as well as a communication vehicle. So many of our customers, and I think Charles Dickinson from PHI gave a great example of how a utility has incorporated social media, Twitter, into their day-to-day customer communications. I think we're starting to see more examples of that where utilities are putting up a Twitter site, they're having outbound communications. They're also leveraging technology such as Rob showed to go out and actually monitor that, and when it's appropriate or if needed, going out and making the connections, bringing those tweets, bringing those customer social sentiments into the utility, providing some intelligence and analyzing that, and then deciding what action needs to be taken. One of the things we're doing today is offering as a service social media monitoring. So think about all the channels that exist. You know, I think Twitter and Facebook get overused, but there's over 9,000 different social media sites that we are just starting to track. It would be impossible for a utility to monitor all of those all the time, and so you're starting to see new service offerings, one that SAP is producing, where we can actually go in and, based on preference, monitor those sites and then provide that information back to the utility in a meaningful way so that they can take action. Perhaps it's high bill complaints, or perhaps as we're rolling out new rates or new tariffs, really understanding how that is being perceived. One of the obvious opportunities might be to stop all of the let's just say urban myths about the smart meter. You know, it doesn't cause blindness, it won't wake you up at 3 o'clock in the morning. So I think social media becomes a vehicle for communication, education, as well as monitoring. Just how are we feeling, right? And I think there's a value there. When we look at other industries like CPG or retail, they do this all the time. You know, what products should we be selling? What's the latest, fashion trend? They are broadly using social media to influence their direction, their sales. I think utilities are just starting to see how they might use this new medium and where they might take it to provide better customer service.
So, Lisa, taking that point, and that's well stated, and of course we discussed today that your presentation, what we have here today, is really about customer engagement. But so, and perhaps you just mentioned other industries, but how can this mobility and customer applications that you demonstrated, how can that be extended to more than customer engagement?
How can that be extended? So, I guess from a social media perspective, you're monitoring customer sentiment and you see the need for a new service or education. Anu mentioned it's not just the pulling of information. You want to be able to target certain customer classes and proactively promote perhaps different programs. Customers today, may be perceiving themselves as a certain profile. Maybe I'm a high-tech customer and I want to have all the latest gadgets. Maybe I'm a green customer and I want to be very sensitive to, making sure I have a green portfolio. Maybe I'm a financially conservative customer and I want to learn all about energy consumption. I think monitoring social media, looking at customer sentiment, whether it's demographic or sociographic, we can start to now take that, use segmentation internally, and be more proactive in our offer management, our campaigns, the types of information we push to a customer, creating a new experience for them, but more importantly, maybe providing the opportunity to take action. I don't know, Anu, if you want to talk a little bit about that as well.
No, Lisa, I don't think I have anything to add for that.
Well, I do think, Lisa, we have a question that probably goes more to Anu's knitting, and that is, so we saw some stuff regarding mobile apps. Anu just demonstrated version 1, version 2, or certainly indicated what that is. But I think that a lot of people may have this question is how do they customize these applications to their own branding, their own needs, their own whatever?
Yep, that would be me. So the application that we're building, it is going to be an HTML5 hybrid application. So as I mentioned, the styles and coloring can be modified overall by just modifying the CSS or cascading style sheets for that application. And then on top of that CSS HTML5 framework, we're providing a simple extensibility tool that the utility providers will be able to use to hide and display or rearrange fields and activate or deactivate certain functionality. So for example, if you don't want to roll out a service request in the first version of the application to your customers because you haven't maybe figured out the business process in the back end that you want to use to handle that, you could still go forward with doing account profile and bill payment and maybe outage management. So we are providing a tool to expose different fields and change the functionality that is available in the application.
Great. One more question here. You mentioned customer sentiment. How is sentiment captured, and what value does it provide?
So, Rob, why don't I give that to you since you've been doing quite a bit of work in that area?
Sure. So really what you're seeing is the ability to parse messages. So it's really a keyword identifier, which allows you to, based on specific words that you've defined, that's what's driving that sentiment. So, specific hits are going to drive, an irate customer sentiment versus happy. So having the ability to parse text and then dynamically and intelligently utilize that information to segment that into a specific customer sentiment is all based on the defining keywords and what that customers is posting. Now, the value that provides is it allows you to proactively reach out to those customers that are, that are angry with your service, that are, on the fence about joining a energy efficiency campaign. So you can utilize that information in the integration within the interaction center within SAP to reach out to that customer, to issue service orders directly to that customer if they're having issues with their, with their service, to send them energy efficiency information if they're, on the fence or questioning what programs your utility is providing. So it really allows you to, again, proactively reach out and engage that customer, which you would otherwise, not be able to do without that information.
Good. Lisa, on this next question, as I read it, your folks may have to, there's some SAP technical stuff in here, so you may have to give an editorial first or an explanation to the people who don't quite understand some of this. The question reads, would it be the correct assumption that SAP front-end customer engagement utility-specific objects could be extended using a different platform other than NetWeaver?
So I'm going to ask Anu to first take that on, assuming the customer mobility app and the objects there, and then if there's further questions, I might ask Steen to comment on that. But Anu, I'm going to ask you just to address that first.
So the way we are modeling our mobile application is the utility-specific objects will be creating services within Mobiliser that can consume those objects from the ERP backend. So those services within Mobiliser could be extended to provide, say, a different experience on the mobile device. So Mobiliser is a completely separate platform that is independent of NetWeaver. So that's how I'm taking that question from the mobile app perspective.
Okay.
Steen, I don't know if you want to add anything to that from a CEM or SMA perspective. Steen, I don't know if you're still on mute.
Yeah, I couldn't hear him either.
Sure, it's my screen here. So from a CEM perspective, we are using the Java server, so the capabilities are there to extend it there, and certainly not in the NetWeaver stack.
Well, Lisa, looking at the clock, I think we're 1 minute after the hour, and I'm sure that everybody needs to run back to their next assignment or whatever is on their calendar. So first of all, Lisa, Rob, Anu, Steen, thank you for providing this to us, providing us your insights into how you're moving the needle on customer engagement. And attendees, thank you for participating today. We'll be back with you next month in the same time slot. And so on that note, we will conclude today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rod. Thank you, everyone.